Hello, everyone. I'm Mal, and I'm here with Sabouts. Hey, Sabouts,
Hey, Mal,
what's going
how
on,
you
man?
doing?
Situation log encountered.
I'm good. So, this is for Sabouts community. This is bromance, which is the term that I've been using with other YouTubers for a while to describe a co-op Let's Play experience. And this time, like I said, I've got Sabouts with me. I'm excited about this run at Stellaris.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a good one. It really is. Oh, we've got a lot in store, that's for sure.
Well, I think that this is a good time for us to get into this, and I guess this will be released a couple of days before Stellaris 1.3 comes out, which is the new patch. It's got all kinds of new stuff, and the reason we wanted to do this sort of announcement video is to let you know that A, we have this new series coming this weekend, and B, I wanted to invite people to go and check out Sabouts' channel. And for those of you that are, I know what the question's going to come up. They're going to say, well, where's Hadrian? Well, Hadrian couldn't join us for this. We invited him, but as I understand it, he's going to try to join us for either some Stellaris in the future or some other game. So that's pretty exciting. What are you looking forward to the most, you think, in 1.3 or, for that matter, the DLC, right? Leviathans.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. We'll be using 1.3 Leviathans, and I've got to say I'm pretty excited for the War in Heaven, where the fallen empires can become awakened and wage war on each other and end up dragging all the smaller empires into the war to fight on their sides. I think it's going to make a really interesting scenario, especially because depending on who wins and who loses, there'll be empires who are dragged into the losing team. What's going to happen to them? And then the empires who are dragged onto the winning side of the Fallen Empire war, are they going to get special benefits, perks? Is the Fallen Empire going to, be allies with them? It's hard to say, but I think that's going to really change the whole course of the mid-game as the War on Heaven.
I wonder have you read anywhere what the trigger point's going to be for that?
I guess it's supposed to be pretty random. It just kind of kicks in randomly. I know there's probably just like the Endgame Crisis, there's probably some type of year time frame that it could spark with maybe some factors that come into that. I think they said something like if their planet gets captured by somebody, it might spark some big war. Or if they decide to awaken because of, it could be, I think the Guardians might tie somewhat into it. If a Guardian's killed, it could spark a fallen empire from getting angry. It's there's a bunch of different things. And then I know it's targeted towards the mid-game, so going to flesh out the mid-game a little more, which is definitely where Stellaris was lacking when it was first released.
Right, agreed. I think people, too, that follow Paradox Games is that they release, I don't want to say release and they're not done. Found. I think to me, it seems like Paradox Games are always like in sort of this sort of evolutionary state, right? They're always building on themselves with each patch, and then they start throwing out DLCs at a certain point, and then it sort of fundamentally changes the game. I think 1.3 is essentially going to rewrite Stellaris. In particular, I think the changes to space combat too is also going to make both the mid and end game more interesting, because you can't just build a fleet of Tachyon Lance destroyers and call it a day. You now have to make some serious considerations about what you want to do.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to really change a lot of it. Almost going to completely rewrite. I know they focused really heavily on the mid-game because that's where a lot of the complaints came from. But they're changing even just little things like having science ships be able to auto-explore is going to be a huge change for the game, because I know mid-game it kind of gets a little tasking to be sending your science ship out to every single system around you to try to do that exploring. And the fact that they tied that into actually being a research, that you've got to research to get that ability, I thought was a really unique way to handle that.
I like the changes to strategic resources as well. I like the fact that terraforming, as it was before 1.3, has been completely redone. You can terraform any planet as long as you can afford to do it. And then the way that it'll manage your strategic resources will change significantly too. And I think better, it'll make more sense. Sector governors are not supposed to be complete morons anymore.
That's a huge plus. Oh yeah, that's going to change a lot of that.
Oh man. Good lord. I almost didn't want to give up direct control of any system because the sector governors are so stupid. I was like, guys,
I was almost
really
tempted to just take the the hit on negative resources for it, for the fact that I could at least manage it to be a halfway decent system.
Right? Exactly. But just so folks know that the purpose of this video is really twofold. One, to
System
obviously
survey
introduce and announce the
complete.
fact that we're doing it, and you know, that we're going to be playing with patch 1.3 and exploring that, as well as the Leviathans DLC. But the other thing was that for a while now, those of you that have been watching my channel know that I do something called Community Empires, where in the comments below the announcement video, which would be this video on both channels, you can submit your ideas for an empire, which will be added to the pool. So for those of you watching this on Sabouts' channel, and obviously those of you watching on mine, please go ahead, if you're interested, if you want an empire that you've created to have a chance to show up in this Let's Play, in the next couple of days, please put in the comments, you know, what you want the name to be, kind of the description, what portrait you want, all that good stuff. And then we have already figured out how to make sure that those pools will exist in both of our saved files.
Yeah, absolutely. So make sure that you guys do submit some fallen or some empires in there, so we can go ahead and get them added to the game. It'll be pretty interesting to see what you guys put down, and hopefully you don't create any empires that completely crush us. As funny as that would be.
I was telling Sabouts the other day when we were talking about setting this up that I got a lot of responses, which is great. It's great. But for some reason, there seemed to be a very heavily slanted towards empires that could eat my face off, and I almost lost that last LP due to the empires that were submitted, and that's fine. That's fine. But if somebody wants to throw us a bone, that'd be great too.
I have a feeling now because of that, we're going to get a lot of empires that want to eat our faces.
Seriously, I think so. Oh, hey, I just met this
look at
Sabouts
that.
guy. What's this guy all? What's he doing? Hey, what are your thoughts on sort of initial game settings?
Well, we're definitely going to be doing, for initial game settings, we're going to be doing hard difficulty. So that's one really important thing to take note of. The main reason for that being that we don't want to completely steamroll over the AI. It is possible to really get the ball rolling mid-game and just kind of knock everybody out of the way. And we're kind of hoping to create a challenge by doing that, so that way it doesn't get too easy. I think especially because we're going to ally during it and kind of do a heavy science focus. It could make us very powerful if we don't have a competent enemies to fight off.
Yeah, I think that it makes sense, right? We're on hard difficulty, which will jack things up. In terms of the challenge level, we don't want to be able to roll over. And having just finished a hard playthrough myself, I can attest to the fact that the 50% increase across the board that the AIs get it's significant. So, and we're leaving on events and whatnot. So we just want to be able to at least have a chance, right? Like if we go down swinging, so be it. But we just want to sort of have a chance to get all the way to the end game and see as much as we can.
Exactly. Yeah, we want to really try to take advantage of all the things that Leviathan and 1.3 are going to introduce into the game. It would really be unfortunate if we didn't get a chance to really take full advantage of that. But we'll have to see where things go. I think it's going to be pretty awesome. What is actually, I didn't get a chance to ask you, what is your most anticipated or excited thing about the Leviathans in 1.3?
Well, the Enclaves look kind of cool,
Oh,
right?
yeah, those are going to be
that
neat.
You can potentially get tech that you would not otherwise have access to, or is it the trade depot? One of them where you can exchange minerals for energy credits, or vice versa, if you can build whatever relationship with them, or however that mechanic works. The fact that you can do an exchange, that changes things too. Because I mean, if you think about it, there are times when, especially because we're both going to play as sort of sciencey, right? That's what we decided. We're both going to play as sciencey governments. Lots of science, and we're going to play as some of the. We're gonna be like kind of cutesy. Yeah, I said it.
Yeah,
I said it.
It's
So
exciting.
there's
It's
gonna
definitely
be,
exciting.
There's gecko portraits, portraits, and starfish in our future.
Yep.
Something like that, anyway. But when you play that kind of government, especially if you take pacifist, it's more difficult to go to war. But if you can make a deal for, say, energy credits, if you need them, so that you can stay at war, it opens up some different mid-game and in-game possibilities. So that, to me, is one of the most interesting things about Leviathans and about 1.3 is those potential changes.
Yeah, it really changes the whole game. It's almost like a whole new game at that point. The things that they brought into it's just it's going to address a lot of issues, and I really think, just like you said earlier with Paradox titles, I mean, it's very common for them to do something like this. And when you look at games like Crusader Kings 2 or Europa Universalis, Victoria 2, those games really shined after they released a lot of the DLC, the expansions that came out with them. That's what really made those games. I mean, some of those games really weren't that great. They were okay, but they weren't that great when they first came out. And then over time, as they added things like what they're doing with Stellaris, it just... people now have thousands and thousands of hours in some of these games.
Right. Yeah. It just sort of exploded as those games improved. I've liked Stellaris from the start. I'll admit that there is some mid-game lull and some other things, but again, those are being addressed, and I'm really, really excited about 1.3, and I'm very excited that we're going to be doing it in co-op, because other than us sort of testing, which we've done a little bit of, I haven't played any multiplayer, and the way that we're doing it, as you can see here, let me zoom out. I'm on the galaxy map, by the way, right now. So
okay, yep, I got to.
You can see that we're side by side, and this is kind of how we've decided to do it. We're going to sort of start off kind of like as holdouts for each other. So in theory, what will happen when we start the official playthrough is that we'll be back to back like this, and in an alliance, and then on hard. With the AI aggressiveness possibly even cranked up a little bit, and it's going to be us against the galaxy,
absolutely.
And since we're going to use hyperlanes only, it'll be very strategic in nature, because we should be able to find bottleneck points and fortify the hell out of them and really leverage that. And I think
I'm really excited actually to get a chance to finally use defense stations, because those really, in other games you can use them, but it's hard to really get the enemy towards them, or to find places where they're an advantage, especially if enemies got wormhole stations and such. So being able to actually take advantage of those defensive stations, finding, like you said, choke points or bottlenecks, and just force the enemy into a meat grinder, try to hold those particular systems that are super vital to our existence. And it'll be interesting seeing if we can hold a certain system, or if it falls, how are we going to retaliate, and how are we going to try to bounce back. And it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I think it will be. I mean, time will tell, but I'm excited about it, and I hope that our community members are as well. So, I think we've pretty much covered what we needed to cover in terms of announcing it. I think the only thing we didn't mention was the time. I was thinking, we could release, kind of like the other Bromance series that I've been a part of, we could release at 9 a.m. Eastern every day. Does that work for you?
It might have to be a little bit earlier for me.
A little bit earlier. All right. Well, then it's going to be. We'll say this. It's going to be early morning.
That works.
Every day.
That's perfect.
How about that?
That's perfect.
All right. Well, anything you want to say before we close it up?
I think I'm all set. Just make sure you guys definitely submit your community empires so we can get them into the game. Very excited to play and see what you guys have to bring to the table.
I am too, folks. And if there's anyone that hasn't already submitted an empire, from my community, please do so. And just as a reminder, there'll be a link below this video to Sabouts' channel. Go check him out. He's got a lot of great content, and I'm sure you folks will enjoy him. If you're not already subscribed, go do that. Just actually go now. Just go. Do it now.
Do it.
All right, folks. Thanks so much for watching. He's Sabouts, I'm Mal, and we will see you later.